This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by the Northwest Fest International Documentary Festival, running in cinema from May 6th to the 14th and online from May 5th to the 15th. Northwest Fest is thrilled to finally be able to bring the festival back to Metro Cinema this year with an outstanding lineup of some of the year's best docs and a few fun surprises. This year's festival is a hybrid affair with over 20 films screening right there in the Metro, including the acclaimed Nick Cave music doc, This Much I Know to Be True, along with dozens of feature and short films screening online, including my documentary, Oma, about my grandma, Sandy Moser, who you've heard on an episode. Go check it out. Award-winning filmmaker Alexandre O. Felipe will also be in town to present his filmmaking masterclass. This event is open to the public and is an absolute must for anyone who's ever dreamed of making their own film. Man, I want to go to that. Check out the full Northwest Fest film lineup and purchase all access passes or single tickets at northwestfest.ca.
Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish. Bop, bop,
and banter, go. Banter.
Okay, I see. Sorry. So you said, and banter go, and then you started talking?
Well,
I thought that was an instruction for me.
I can cue myself in, right? Stand by, banter, go. Stand by, banter, standing by, banter, go. Hey, Griffin. Hi, my son, my boy, Griffin Cork. It's me, your mom, Karen Johnson Diamond. And here we are together, bantering on our podcast, The Breakfast Dish. This podcast.
LOL. I love to banter. LMFAO. What's the one? Raffle Mao.
IMO. IMHO. This is a fun podcast about the arts in Alberta.
Okay, pause for a second. Are you saying that when you first started talking, you weren't going to be, oh, no, I'm an idiot. IMHO stands for, in my humble opinion?
Yes. What did you think it stood for?
Honest?
Oh, both.
So I thought you were going to lie.
No. In my honest opinion and in my humble opinion.
Oh, my God.
This podcast is a thumbs up, happy face emoji.
Okay, no, I want you've started this trade, and I'm not going to let you get off it until you've freaking given me your ticket, which is I need you to use as many internet conjunctions in this intro as possible. As some would say, leet speak.
Is it a conjunction or is it an anagram or a, what's it called when it's like LOL stands for? It's an anagram, isn't it? Acronym.
Oh my God. I hope none of my English teachers are listening. Good Lord.
Okay, I will. All right.
That's not one of them.
No, I can't think of one. Not one.
No, come on.
I can speak a little bit in emoji. So imagine that this is how I feel about you today. It's emoji with sunglasses on. I don't know any else besides, okay, TTFN or BRB, or what's that one? POS.
Sorry?
POS.
What do you mean by that?
Parents over shoulder.
That can't be what you think that means.
It is parents over shoulder. Well, that's what all the grown-ups say when they're teaching other grown-ups about internet safety and watching their kids online. If their kids type POS, it means stop talking about what we were talking about because parent over shoulder.
I don't think that's, I mean, yeah, okay, so our guest is being very polite and he's muted his mic while we force out this banter, but he's shaking his head. And I'm pretty sure if I saw POS online, I would think it stands for piece of shit.
Or positivity. Speaking of positivity, who is our guest, Griffin Cork?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't want to relate our guest to the acronym of piece of shit.
Positivity.
Insane timing.
Positivity. I'm acronyming him
Isn't that shortened by like posy? Like,
yeah, okay, posy.
Everyone just stay posy.
Everyone stay posy.
Point of sale system, also POS. Anyway, our guest is a longtime D&D friend of mine and the artistic director of Sage Theater, Jason Mehmel. Hello, Jason.
Hello. I'm also thinking let's do POS as in this particular show as the point of Sage.
Oh,
that's very good.
That's
much
really
better
good.
than piece of shit. Totally.
And what a great segue. Hey, Jason Mehmel, artistic director of Sage Theater. What is the point of Sage?
So the thing I've been bantering about lately, like with Griffin and with a lot of other folks, has often been about empathy. Empathy, like, it can feel like one of those fuzzy wuzzy things that people are like, yeah, whatever. We need more empathy. But there is really, I think, a sense in which the more you can understand where someone else is coming from, particularly somebody who's got a fundamentally different experience than you, the more that changes your ability to interact with them, to make choices about like other things that you do in your life, and like how you vote, how you buy, all kinds of things that can be changed by empathy.
And that's the point of SAGE.
Yeah.
It's SAGE stands for...
And that's the parents over shoulder.
Suck up some apathetic grown-ups and find empathy.
Sorry, I need to double back.
I'm working on it. Just a minute. SAGE.
Suck up some
apathetic grown-ups and
you want
find
me to
empathy.
Suck up some grown-ups?
Suck it up, you apathetic grown-ups, and find empathy. Is what I'm trying to say.
I see.
Okay, hold on. No. Just a second. Search
yeah, weird time for this.
amongst your groups for empathy.
Suck up those grown-ups over there. My God.
I mean, like, when it comes to audience development, we're really, really willing to try anything.
Well, if you need a marketing manager, if you need a marketing person, I'm there.
What's happening?
Big billboards.
My world is crumbling around me.
On the back of C trains that say, "Suck it up, you apathetic grown-ups."
You POS? Good Lord.
Well, Sage Theater, how old is Sage Theater now?
I think we're like 23 years old.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Yeah, because we had our 20th birthday just before the pandemic, and we've been in the pandemic 2.5 years. So, yeah.
Sage Theater Show was one of the first ones I saw when I came to Calgary. I think they did Polygraph by Robert Lepage. And I saw that first version that Rob Moffat directed. And then I saw a second one that Kelly, I think, directed. I love that play. Everyone, read Polygraph. No, you know what? See it. It's better seen even. It's so clever.
It is one of those shows that is like, there are theater plays where I think they are defined by their theatricality, if that makes sense. Like some are just great plays, but some plays are magical because of the it's the things that only work on stage, if that makes sense. Like these like esoteric monologues that go in interesting places and like, and Polygraph sits in that place because it goes back and forth between these different places.
What is your favorite show that you have done with Sage?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Well, because I think we've chatted that like King Kirby's up there for you.
King Kirby is up there because I think obviously the character is close to my heart and the story is close to my heart. It's also like, I think one of those things where it's the kind of show that once you see it, it actually really does change how you see a lot of other things in the world. Like as soon as you know Kirby's story, it changes your perception of like Avengers Endgame.
Oh, interesting. That's a good point.
Yeah, like you're like, oh wow, this is not this $1 billion multimedia empire came from like this pencil of this like, irascible New York Jew who like fought in World War II.
It's true. Thinking about it on the scale that something like Marvel is right now in terms of like one of like the meccas of the world, it's the fact that its origin can be so pinpointed is very interesting.
Well, and like I think too, like part of what made that show so special for me was that it also really highlighted that Kirby himself, and even Stan Lee at the time, didn't know that they were creating what would become the Marvel Empire.
Right.
They were just like, there's a scene where Kirby and Simon are just coming up with characters, and they're just rattling off like different elements and different like insects and various things that they could be trying to like, oh, like what if he did this? What if he did this? And they just land on characters. And to realize that it wasn't, that these characters didn't come from they were like among dozens and dozens of other characters, and these ones just happened to catch on.
Yeah.
There's something really interesting about that. Yeah, and I think so. That show's kind of close to my heart. And then, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, Karen, but working on A Year of Magical Thinking with you is a highlight for me.
Listener, it's Karen Johnson Diamond here, co-host of The Breakfast Dish. She's totally saying that because I'm here.
That's crazy. I'm watching Karen sign a check, and in the memo she wrote bribe money. That can't be legal to put that on the check.
That was a sensational experience. That show scared the bejesus out of me. And just so the world knows, Sage and I and a wonderful tour coordinator named Christy Offer are trying to make something happen with a tour with that.
Yeah.
It was supposed to happen right in the pandemic. We were supposed to go to Vancouver and so many things were meant to happen during the pandemic. Okay, backing up to King Kirby. Griffin, here's a fun piece of news. Jack Kirby also drew, because he's the illustrator, Stan Lee's the writer.
Well,
right?
I mean, this is the whole debate. Like, Kirby was ostensibly as much a storyteller as he was an artist.
Oh, okay.
So coming up with the whole, like, that was kind of, I'll let you get back to your point there in a second.
No, that's okay.
But this was like part of the whole thing about the show is that people look at Stan Lee as the guy who birthed Marvel Comics. But in a lot of ways, it was Jack and Steve Ditko and Gene Colan and a lot of these other artists who were coming up with characters and drawing whole stories before Stan even saw what was happening.
Right, right.
And yet, because Stan was like, his name was on every book, and he was the most, like, he was the glad hander. He was shaking everybody's hand. He was like touring the studios with everybody. People saw him as the face of it. And, you know, and this is the other thing too. And it's funny, like when we did the show, the actor who played Kirby, Robert Klein, and then David Lorraine, who played Stan Lee, both came to really empathize with those characters' positions. And because Stan, for basically, I think he would never understood why Jack didn't just play ball and just be a good company man, you know, like just like toe the line. You know, whereas Jack never understood why Stan didn't respect building the excitement of just building these crazy stories and ideas. Like, he didn't understand why it was all about glad handing and sales and contracts and stuff. But anyway, yeah. So that was what made that show exciting. But yes, Jack Kirby also drew and probably also scripted a lot of the romance comics.
Yes, Griffin, the love comics that me and Auntie Kimmy and Auntie Holly all read.
Yeah.
If you open up some of those, you can see some Jack Kirby stuff in there. So poor Jason, when he's directing King Kirby, I just keep sending him texts with like panels out of these comics.
Oh my God. He's working.
But it was mentioned slightly in the script. The script, we mentioned the romance comics. The romance comics were mentioned, yes.
There was a point where, like, Cheryl Hutton, who played Kirby's wife, was, like, pretending to, like, she was reading out the dialogue from the panel, you know, and it's, I think Karen had seen one of those comics and could, like, read that same panel at the same time.
I was probably quoting it from the audience. Jack, your love stabs my heart like your scalpel, Dr. Jack.
Right, because you and Holly and Kimmy like those comic books because of sometimes the insane words that pop up in those speech bubbles, right?
They're hilarious. I think one day we should have an episode where just me and Kimmy and Holly read romance comics back and forth to each other.
What's the like? Do you have like two or three that you like reference as like the crazy ones?
Mary Robbins, MD, always looks at Dr. whoever he is and says, "Your love, his eyes pierced me like a scalpel to the heart." Or Johnny Love. And yes, there's a character called Johnny Love, but not Johnny Love from Heebie-Jeebies fame. Johnny Love is like this transient guy with long hair. He's a hippie, rides on a motorcycle, and he comes into town, and he always like falls in love with some girl, and she's always like, Johnny, I love you. And he's like, sorry, babe, I can't stay in one place for very long. I got to get out of here. So your Auntie Kimmy is right now writing a book about the Johnny Love character in the Love comics. And finally, you know how in soap operas, maybe you don't remember, Griffin, but in soap operas, if people would, if two people were standing, you know, looking at each other and one of them dropped a bomb, the other would sort of turn their back on that person and then walk towards the camera for a close-up and have their reaction shot. Well, that sort of happened in Love comics because one panel would have the two people talking to each other and the next panel would have the guy behind the girl and she was reacting, but it was always cut off. So the girl was only like chin down and the speech bubble was always coming out of her boob. You can look for talking boobs all through the Love comics.
Wow. But the girl is the one who's having the reaction?
Yeah, but it's coming from her boob.
But it's at boob level?
Yeah, boob level reactions. That was a really important story for me to share during our interview with Jason Mehmel.
I'm here for it.
We send an artist info email kind of beforehand, and in no way do we promise any kind of structure or reason throughout this episode.
I mean, like, I'm thinking maybe our next fundraiser is going to be a staged reading of these romance comics.
I'm so up for that. I cannot tell you how up I am for that. No, I'm so up for that. Like the cast of Dirty Laundry reads my sister's in Red Deer, my cousin's in Lethbridge, but still, Kimmy would come down and we would read the comics out loud.
That would be fun.
And then if we took stills of each square so that the squares could be like projected behind us, so people are seeing the image.
Or actors hitting tableaus to do the panels.
Right. And if we want you to know that it's, thoughts coming out of a boob, we just hold a picture frame over just one part of our boob.
If we want you to know, if we need you to know that the thought's coming out of the boob.
Wouldn't you just put the mic close to the boob?
That's true.
That's true. Practical effects.
Jack, I love you, but I have something to tell you. My boob thinks you're handsome.
I see.
Oh, my Lord. Anyway, you're working on an excellent play right now, written by an excellent man named Clem Martini. Will you please tell us about that production that's upcoming?
Yeah. So we're doing a play called Cantata, or Rumors of My Crazy Useless Life by Clem Martini. And it's a fictionalization. It's an adaptation of the nonfiction books that he's done with his brother, documenting his family experiences of caregiving. The book that we're adapting is about the process that happened when his brother and then his mother, who were living together, how that relationship of caregiving changed as the mother started to gain dementia. The different needs that were now being put on the family, and like adapting to just this, like, because so much of caregiving, so much of family caregiving is a balancing act. And, you might keep a balancing act going for a while, but then it doesn't take much to toss it all around. So yeah, and so our play is a fictionalization of that, and the reason we say that's important is, I think, for a few reasons. It's because I know that Clem has adapted the book and the actions and the events in the book to fit a dramatic structure, to follow some of the creative impulses of fictionalization, and I think it's also to avoid both us in the room and Clem working with us from just defaulting to what happened in real life.
Right.
So that we're not just, it's not just Clem going, it's like, well, my brother said it more like that, or like, well, this is more how I felt, kind of thing. And it's been really interesting. So it's a world premiere, I think. But we have had experience with the play. We did a workshop of it just in this brief window of the pandemic when, like, it was kind of okay for people to be gathered in rooms, but at distance. Like, I think September of 2020. And yeah, so we had this just brief little window there. We did a great workshop with some great artists, and so we're like, I'm coming to this play it's not like I'm coming to a new play with lots of bumps on it that we need to figure out. It's a well-made piece of work. I mean, it's also, Clem is an accomplished playwright with a lot of experience and skill, so it's such an easy play to work on because it's so clear, if that makes sense. The intent of the play is so clear, while at the same time still allowing for a lot of discovery in scenes and discovery in moments. But like, right, you can see how moments are juxtaposed in a really interesting way, and then you can like run with that even further. And yeah, so yeah, I think I've rambled around, but have I kind of explained what the show is?
100%. 100%. And
okay.
You have a pretty stacked cast for that show, don't you?
Yeah. We've got Duval Lang. He's playing Martin. Martin is the character who's sort of coming from Clem's experience. And then we've got Brian Jensen, who's playing Dennis, and that's the character who comes more from Olivier's experience. So that's the brother with schizophrenia. Val Campbell, who's again an accomplished actor and a former professor of acting at the U of C, is Irene. She plays the mother. And then Precious Opguma, who is playing sort of the constellation of people around the nurses and the doctors and the advisors and just some other interstitial characters that just come in and add to the texture. It's the sort of the people around these people, and Precious kind of jumps in a lot of these. I think we counted, she's got like 7 parts, maybe 8.
Holy man. I met Precious only at a Quest workshop, I think. But what a crackerjack. What a great energy.
Oh, and I should also mention, it's because it's basically a member of the cast, is a marimba. We've got this Rod Squantz, who's the head of the music at U of C, is the composer and performer of a marimba that's in the show. That is not. This isn't like a Hans Zimmer like sweeping thing to try to make you feel a certain emotion in a particular scene. It's more like a layer, if that makes sense. The show itself has kind of a minimalist staging to it. Like we've only got a few props and like just stools on stage using lights and acting to tell you like where we're going to be. And also like the writing does it very well too. It's very clear in the writing where you are from moment to moment. But the marimba then also creates this extra layer of, in absence of set, we have this emotional tenor that gets created.
I need help. I can't for the life of me right now think of what a marimba is or what instrument that is. Like I just a minute, let me go. I went from like sort of like a drum kind of thing. And then I went, no, it's kind of like a ukulele. No, I can't remember what it is.
So it's like a xylophone on steroids.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So yes, so still percussive. Your drum instinct was right.
I was close.
Yeah. So maybe I'll throw out this idea that I had as we were talking about some of the other Sage shows that feels connected. Just worth mentioning is that so we did King Kirby, and this is about an actual guy, Jack Kirby, and I feel like hearing that story changes your perception of him. And then Karen and I did A Year of Magical Thinking, which again is about a real person, Joan Didion, who this story takes you through her own experience, and I think so many of the audience finds a universality about going through that experience with somebody who's articulated it quite as well. And then I think what's interesting working on Cantata is, again, we know that there is a reality behind these characters. And so I think the reason I thought this was interesting is just that I think without really even focusing on it or making it a direct choice, there's been this like theme of essentially creative nonfiction that's kind of coming in through a lot of my own work, stuff that I'm very interested in, of like, what is it to cross that line between the facts of people's experience and the choices we can make when we're making art, when we're deciding like what would make a moment more exciting.
That's what's on the billboard. Sage Theater, creative nonfiction. I'm serious. I am your marketing master.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Bonkink.
I'm Andrew Paul.
And we're the hosts of the Well Endowed Podcast.
The Well Endowed Podcast is produced by Edmonton Community Foundation, or ECF as we call it.
ECF provides grants to charities through the endowment funds we create and manage with our donors.
Hence the title of our show, The Well Endowed Podcast.
Every month, we bring you a collection of stories and interviews with fascinating guests who are working to make Edmonton a strong, vibrant city to live in.
Through these stories, we look at the space where endowments intersect with your communities.
So if you're interested in the people and issues impacting your community, check out thewellendowedpodcast.com.
Here's my background with Clem Martini. Here's a fun fact. I met Clem Martini in 1986 or 1987, maybe, when he came to Red Deer College when I was a student there, and we were doing a Commedia dell'arte piece. And so we were sort of improvising and mucking around, and he was the playwright that's come in to sort of write the story down that we come out of improvising our Commedia characters. And seriously, like I look at Clem now and I go, you know what? Maybe he's got 3 or 4 years on me. But at the time when I was in school and I was 20, I was like, Clem Martini. Like he was, established and in my mind, already like 40 and, big name. And now I meet him. And I mean, I'm not saying he isn't that. And he was that at the time. But I look back now and go, he was probably, 26 maybe when he was doing it. And I was anyway, he blew my mind. That's my Clem Martini story.
Speaking of blowing minds, I'm going to transition entirely to an entirely new topic. Because Jason, you either have or still currently are working with TED YYC. Is that true?
Yeah, or TEDx YYC. Yeah.
What do you do? What is that like?
Oh boy.
Wait. First, what's the difference between TED and TEDx?
So TED is a sort of a singular event that's produced by the TED company. It's like a festival. I think they're doing it in Vancouver this year. And that's like, say, I don't know, like 5 or 6 days. Big people come in and fly, like the tickets are crazy expensive, etc. TEDx events are events that are so anyone can ask to apply for a TEDx license.
Oh, cool.
And they're usually city based. There's actually 2 in Calgary. There's TEDx YYC and then there's TEDx Calgary. And TEDx Calgary would usually do, this is all sort of pre-pandemic. They would do like say they would use the Theatre Junction Grand space, about 400 seats or so, to do these salons. And then TEDx YYC would do things more like at the Jack Singer. We were going to do the Jube before the pandemic, and then now we're kind of coming back, but like have to restructure our plans a lot. But TEDx YYC was generally that like once a year kind of a big event kind of thing, closer to what the TED brand looks like, but they're all kind of in that same zone. So that's the TEDx versus TED thing. And then in terms of just what I do and what we do is that essentially we try to of course produce TED Talks, but so I work with the team to help curate the talks. That means like looking for speakers, listening to the speakers' ideas and helping refine those ideas so that they feel like a TEDx event idea or a TED Talk idea. Usually the difference there is that like a TED idea is not usually not advocacy, like you should buy this or you should invest in this or you should vote for this kind of thing. It's usually more like here's a perspective you haven't had before on a particular subject, or like here's something that you didn't know about a thing that like a lot of people experience every day, that kind of thing. Or here's a new kind of technology that we don't know what it's going to do yet, but like, somebody's working on this new thing.
Cool.
And so, yeah, so those are like the curation team, which we try to gather a lot of different people with different perspectives, find as many talks as we can, and then curate them as we discuss what's available, and curate the speakers, and then like help them get to a place where the idea is ready, and then we coach the speakers and put them on stage.
So what does the TEDx license grant you? Like just the opportunity to brand it as like a TED adjacent event?
Well, and like specifically as a TEDx event. So they like there's a level of like a quality control basically. So there's a lot of this is why there actually are so many TED Talks on YouTube, is because there's the TED event and then there's the TEDx events.
Right.
So they're just generating all of this stuff. But I think it is kind of it gives you a quality control. I think what it also does from an event perspective is it means that your audience knows what they're kind of buying into, what they're getting engaged in.
Sure.
Versus like, we're going to, if you're trying to just start up a talk event. In fact, a friend of mine who I know through the TEDx YYC is trying to start up sort of a TED-esque talk event, but not with the same structure. And part of his challenge is that he has to like explain what it is to get people to be invested in it. Whereas I can say to somebody like, hey, do you want to do a TEDx YYC talk? And they kind of already know
right
what the bones of that is going to look like. And when we're trying to get people to buy tickets, they kind of know what they're going to be buying tickets to.
Wow.
I think there's been a lot of TED Talks or TEDx Talks about the importance and value of having improv in your life, and like how the rules of improvisation can help you live a more empathetic life.
Yeah, I think Keith Johnstone did one. I might have been TEDx Calgary. I'm not sure, but did one on the stage at the ATP stage, the Martha Cohen. I
Makes
think.
Sense. Yeah, makes sense. Griffin, if you were going to do a TEDx talk, what would it be about? What perspective can you bring?
I don't know, because I feel like I have a very vague sense of what TED Talks are. I only checked out a few like right at the beginning when they had kind of reached their peak of popularity, and they seem to cover like a wide range of things and like a wide range of philosophies. I did sense that it was like a philosophy-based TED Talk, or like strategies to approach problems, or an outlook on life. Yes, like it never really felt like a lecture, if that makes any sense. It's more of just like a horizon broadening thing. So I don't know. I think I don't know. Don't hire me. Quality control is to maybe not ask me. That's my TEDx talk is to consider other folks. What would it actually be? I'm trying to think of like what's present enough in my life right now.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I would see, right, of course. Like something like
when do you take initiative?
Here we go. Okay, 1 second, I got it. Applying fictional world building to real life manifestation.
That's really good.
Yeah,
manifestation's
that's what I would do.
Big word. That's good.
Well, that's the whole thought of like if you put it out into the universe, it'll happen for you. And I don't know enough about it, but listen, I could sound like I did.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And that's, honestly, that's the thing in coaching, to slightly tie together theater and the TED stuff is that, I came on because they needed a coach for a quantum physicist. And I jumped on and worked with this guy who'd had no theater background, performance background whatsoever. And
you mean like a public speaking coach?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the other half is that we get the speakers. A lot of these speakers, the most interesting speakers are ones who don't have a public speaking background.
Right.
They just have an interesting idea. And to get them to a place where they can execute their talk. I feel really proud that Wolfgang, what was his last name?
Amadeus.
But Puck. Sorry.
Getting his talk about quantum teleportation to a place where the audience could follow it, felt like I was using everything I'd done as a director up to that point.
Quantum teleportation?
Oh, wow. I don't even know what that means. That's the thing. I would have to see him tell me in layman's terms what that is for me to understand what that is.
I'll send you guys the link and you can tell me if it makes sense after you watch it.
Oh, yeah. Lord.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
I think I'm the right level of dumb that the word quantum is very catch-all to me. Quantum to me means complicated or smart. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like synergy. I'm that level of dumb where quantum is just ooh.
Do you ever see that video where somebody makes fun of the fact that Trudeau is going to come talk about quantum physics?
No.
He's doing, Prime Minister Trudeau is at some event. I don't know what it was, but somebody says something like, yes, and here to speak to us. And he was there to talk about, I don't know, budget for schools. I can't even remember, but here to talk to us about quantum physics is Prime Minister Trudeau made some joke. Anyway, he goes up there and he goes, hi, everybody. How are you? And then he goes, blah, 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 school budget. And then goes, by the way, this is what quantum mechanics are. And then he starts explaining it and the audience just goes insane.
That's a crazy tactic to make fun of somebody.
Right?
By the way, here's someone to explain something that I don't know how to explain.
Quick interjection. When I was at Red Deer College, they brought in one of those hypnotizer guys, Ravine, the man they call Ravine. And he pulls people out of the audience.
Hold on. Does he have his own theme song?
Yeah.
Or did you make that up?
No. The man they call Ravine. And he pulls people out of the audience and he hypnotizes them and he goes, okay, every time you hear the word the, you're going to cluck like a chicken. And you constantly think that there's bats flying around your head or whatever. And you are an opera singer or whatever. So whenever you get the cue, you're an opera singer. So he pulls people out of the audience, but he pulls my friend, Kevin O'Connell, who you've seen give the weather for the years on, I think, CTV or Global. Anyway, he pulls Kevin out of the audience, who's a trained opera singer, and hypnotizes him to be the opera singer. Well, Kevin starts singing beautifully, and this hypnotist guy gets so mad. He walks off stage, you can hear him yelling at his people off stage because he hasn't got the mic farthest away. Because the joke is, I tell a person they're an opera singer, and then they go, oh no, and they're terrible. But this guy was amazing. Anyway, what on earth led me to that?
Why was he now hold on? Why was he angry? Because if the guy sang too good, it looks staged?
Yeah. Or also, it's not funny unless he's bad, right?
Okay. I was just talking about this to someone else. I don't know why. Jason, do you believe in hypnosis?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't honestly. I don't think I've ever seen it happen. I don't think I've been at a hypnotist event. So I don't know. I mean, I know the brain does weird stuff, but I don't know about full on hypnosis. I don't know if I believe.
I mean, I feel I kind of put them a little bit all in the same category. This is just what I feel about it is hypnotists, psychics, and mediums, right? Is the same kind of tactics in terms of cold reading and hot reading that you could kind of apply. For some reason, hypnotists are a little bit more legitimate. Only in that I have been to a few, and I was a kid, but it's a big burly jock dude gets up there. The hypnotist tells him that you're a little piggy and you need to go find your tail. And the guy walking up there didn't want to be there. He's oh, whatever. His girlfriend's going, yeah, go get up there. Right. He's having a bad time. And he's like, whatever, fuck you. But then 10 minutes later, he's going, I'm a little piggy. Help. help, where, like, so it's that kind of stuff that I go, man, maybe you're a really good actor, but I don't, like, there's that kind of stuff where I think you'd have to pay that person a lot of money to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, like, there's you talked about like mediums and like that kind of thing. There's a writer I really like who says that he thinks that like magic in the like Aleister Crowley tarot card sense is another technology and method for interacting with what we call consciousness.
Ooh, I'll take that.
And then that made me, the reason I thought of that was because of I wonder if a hypnotist is just somebody who has skills to allow somebody to do, to lower inhibitions, but also like to like access a kind of creative processing that we normally shut down in our day-to-day world. I think what I have a harder time believing is that that person thinks he is really a little piggy. But what I can imagine is that maybe they could release the inhibitions enough that they'd be willing to play along.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like halfway. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in a way that they might themselves not be fully aware of that. Like it's like lowering the inhibitions, It's
like people have a drink or two before they go do a thing because it eases them up or whatever, lowers their inhibition. Whatever that is that makes you less stressed. So maybe it is just the way that, he talks and he calms and he soothes beforehand that just makes you try it once and realize you get this huge reaction from the audience. And so you keep doing it.
Now, Karen, what do you think?
I don't know. I've seen so many buff guys say, help me find my tail. I'm a little piggy. Like I've seen it so many times. But at the same time.
If they've all said that, then he's a hack. It's the same guy. Every city.
It's always the same
guy. It's been for 20 years. He keeps getting hypnotized.
That's right. I also saw him on a Mentos commercial.
I always see it happen. And then I always think, okay, he's a plant. And then I go, well, he had this girlfriend with him. But sometimes he comes off and there's like 10 people around him who are all, right? And then I go, okay, maybe they hired them all. But Kevin O'Connell didn't remember doing it. When I asked him afterwards, and he was a friend and we were ushering the event. So I know why he was there. And I watched him go up and he had all sorts of, like, he was fine to go up because he's an actor. But after, when he came and sat back down, he had no recollection of it. So unless they paid him really well.
He didn't remember moving at all, like even walking up there?
He remembers going up on stage and he remembers leaving the stage, but he doesn't remember what he did in the middle. And we're like, you were opera singing. Oh, was I?
Here's the thing. As you know, on the internet and I know this topic, how did we get here?
Well, Sage is going to do a show about hypnotism soon where someone's going to write it and they're going to do it. Yeah.
There are so many videos online of people debunking, well, for the sake of this argument, let's say like fake psychics or mediums or hypnotists. Like there was a whole like Deadline thing where a woman approached a psychic to get advice and then revealed that woman was the grown-up version of the daughter that psychic told her mother that she died. Like that kind of stuff is like,
oh yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that.
Right. So, and that doesn't necessarily prove anything, right? Because then there could be real ones and there could be fake ones, right? Where people are just doing fake stuff. But it's one of these things. For me, it's the same thing as like ghosts, right? Where just because I don't necessarily believe it, I'm wrong about so much stuff all the time. So everything could be real and I'm just dumb.
I'm not. I'm right about everything.
I would believe hypnotists more if you saw them goof more. Like if they bring up 6 people to hypnotize and 2 of them are like, I'm still awake. You know what I mean? Like, actually, I feel fine. This didn't work on me. Like,
I've seen that.
Okay, right. So that's hell yeah.
But I also go, maybe that makes them look more legit when they have 2 people that go, yeah, no, you didn't work. Go on. You're not susceptible. Go down.
Well, guys, at some point you have to just choose to trust or not trust, because it's like what I'm hearing is this rabbit hole of like maybe those 2 people who are pretending not to be accepted are like, they're a plant to just make them more legitimate.
Right? That's exactly what I'm saying.
So, I mean, what I didn't realize that the show was going to be about us trying to crack down on big hypnosis.
And I didn't mean it to be.
Like, this is the...
That's what I said. We're going to talk about the show, and then eventually we're going to run off the rails.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to run off the rails now because we introduced a new segment into our show that I just love. Alex Cowman, who you know, Jason, who sings our theme song, sings in the theme song, "Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs." So we've been asking all of our guests, if you are a nighttime dreamer, if you dream through the night, to tell us the weirdest, most ridiculous dream that you have ever had, or a recurring one, or one that happened in your childhood that you've never let go of. Are you a nighttime dreamer?
I am, yeah. I haven't even remembered anything lately, but I have a dream journal specifically because I think it's to do my best to like record them as much as I can.
So go pick it up right now and open to a random page and read it to us.
All right. Okay.
Seriously?
Hang on. I'll be right
Oh
back.
my God.
This is golden. Okay, what random page? Are they numbered or are you just going to open to random?
I'm just going to open to random. I may edit slightly.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's see here.
This is incredible.
Okay, nope, can't talk about that one. Although
This is
I do have
Waterloo.
March 31st. Had dream but cannot remember.
Nice. Good.
That's good. This is like the non-susceptible hypnotic person. You have to have those entries so that we believe the real ones.
Right?
Yeah, that's a legit. He clearly has had dreams. Okay, so there was the movie a little while ago with what's her name, Charlize Theron, The Old Guard, that was on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it, but
so-
okay.
So I'm with the cast of The Old Guard, and I'm replaying memories of scenes from the movie. But then it's I think we're at a concert, a rock show at a bar. So we've just transferred locations immediately. Some like sort of a goth girl antagonist leaves the stage at this concert. We make fun of her in let's see here, in a pantomime because it's too loud at the concert. And then the
Fun of
team,
her in a pantomime.
and the team plays one last show. So like somehow the cast is now the this group of the Old Guard are up on stage.
Right.
And then what is it here? And then I think the whole show ends with them going out on a high note, and then that's the end of the dream.
High
Wow.
note, like seriously, like literally a high note?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how difficult it would be to be at a concert, assumingly surrounded by at least another 1,000 people, and communicating your pantomime at a distance so well that the person on stage sees you in the crowd and takes offense.
Okay, so now I've gone to a Google site for the meanings of dreams.
Oh,
To dream
my
that you
God.
are at a concert represents harmony and cooperation in a situation or relationship in your waking life. You are experiencing an uplift in your spirits. They went on a high note. To dream that you are holding a concert, which you kind of did both in this, right? Symbolizes your untapped talents and hidden potential. You need to show off your creative side.
And that's all great, but Karen, could you research what the pantomime means?
Yeah, I'm totally
If you
going
want
to
to
do
just
that now.
toss that into the
Yeah,
search bar,
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah, cover for me. Cover. I got to go to the P's.
And I'll cover for you. I'll make up something right here on the spot. Something like that the breakfast dish is part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear has been composed by Alexandra Cowman. All graphic design for the breakfast dish has been done by Morgan Ermter. Karen, what does pantomime mean in dreams?
I'm not kidding. It's in here. To see a pantomime in your dreams represents a time in your life when things were more carefree and spontaneous. Alternatively, the dream may be dramatically calling your attention to an area that you need to be more aware of. To dream that you are a pantomime, like a mime, indicates that your voice is not being heard or your actions are being misunderstood and misconstrued.
That's, I mean, pretty on the nose, but I do like that they have a section for it.
Last night, I dreamt that I was wearing 2 different color green camouflage shirt and pants, and everybody was telling me how good I looked. That's the whole dream. Camouflage
All right.
shirt, camouflage pants. Anyway, hey,
Well, there's no way they could know. They couldn't see you. Now, Karen, what else is going on this week?
I'll tell you this. I recently adjudicated the One Act Festival in the Foothills District, and I got to see a performance by the Pine Tree Players in Canmore. And this is their next show coming up by the Pine Tree Players. So this is in Canmore. It's called Loose Knit by Teresa Rebeck. I'm going to read you the synopsis because it makes me super happy. Once a week in the heart of New York City, 5 women gather to knit. As the sweaters pile up, their lives fall apart. Liz is having an affair with her sister's husband. Gina's lost her job. Paula's having an identity crisis. And Margie just wants a date. Into their lives steps Miles, a cool businessman who made his first million before he was 30 and is now looking for a wife. On a series of hilarious blind dates, Miles and the women go head to head in an attempt to define what it is men and women want. So you can catch that in Canmore at the Canmore Miners Union Hall, April 22nd. 23rd, 28th, 29th, and 30th, 7:30 p.m. And then there's a matinee at 2 o'clock on the 24th. Tickets are $25, but you can pay what you can preview on April 20th. And for tickets, go to pinetreeplayers.com.
And if I see any of you and you don't call me a cool businessman, I will riot. Jason, do you want to give us the details for Cantata?
I do, yeah. So we are going up on April 28th, going straight through to May 7th with a day off in the middle there. We're doing 4 different price types. We're doing kind of a flexible pricing option.
Oh, nice.
Where you can pay as low as $5 up to $60. $60 is kind of like our booster, like our, you're part of the group that's keeping us going. And then $5 is for anybody who feels that they need to choose that for their for where they're at. It'll be at the Sea Space Theater, which is in Marda Loop, for all those days there, April 28th to May 7th. And we were asking for as much as possible for people to be masked. Hopefully, everybody's vaccinated. And then there is going to be one performance to allow people who really want to make sure that they're safe. There's going to be one performance May 3rd where on that show we're going to ask for proof of vaccination.
Oh, that's a good idea. So it's not across the board for people that are naysayers, but it's there for people that are really wanting to make sure. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like we were talking about it with Danny on my board, and it's possible that maybe none of our audience would avoid our show without a vaccination requirement, but we thought it was kind of a good way to create that extra offer if anybody felt particularly cautious, which I think they should.
You know what? That's empathetic. I'm not kidding. I'm saying that's really thinking of others when you do that. And also when you offer different price levels. That's brilliant. Because some days some year the cool businessmen can pay $60. And then some year maybe things are bad and they need $5.
Yeah.
Jason Mehmel, thank you very much for joining us on The Breakfast Dish.
This was great.
Well, every guest now, I'm going to ask them to debunk some societal norm that, God, I need cracked open. But before that happens, Karen will ask you an improvised question that she just made up because we didn't plan it forward, and it may have something to do with what we talked about, but probably not. Here we go, 3, 2, 1.
Jason Mehmel, if you were going to hypnotize Griffin Cork into doing something, what would it be?
Good God.
Oh, God. It would be to dance the tango.
By myself?
No, with me.
Okay. That's good. I'll look dumb solo and we'll look awesome together.
And as Alex Kalman's music fades back in, please imagine Jason and Griffin in separate boxes over Riverside, tangoing together.
And if Alex Kalman's, I should have had the time to make a Alex Kalman tango remix. If you start hearing the normal outro, something's gone terribly wrong. Bye.
This has been The Breakfast Dish.